Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. This is Moses Speaks on Autism, and you're welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 10 myths on autism. Autism is caused by bad parenting. This is definitely not true. This has been proven over the years, but like they say, it's always difficult to do away with myths. Once it's been put out there, it's almost difficult. Now, several years ago, experts actually carried out an investigation which they called the refrigerator's mom hypothesis. What they did was to take away some children from their parent, from their mother, and then left them to grow up by themselves, just to find out if the behavior they're putting up or they're showing, it's going to get any better. And then the conclusion from that experiment shows that autism is not caused by bad parenting. It's not caused by whatever choice of parenting you decide to implement. So it's definitely not caused by bad parenting, and I think we have to just stop spreading this myth out there. Autism is a disorder, neurological disorder, nothing more, nothing less. Children with autism cannot learn. This is not true. Everyone learns. Now, children on the spectrum also learns, but just like every other child, one can grow out of autism. This is also not true. Autism is a lifelong disorder, so it cannot be cured either by medicine or by therapy. However, with appropriate therapy, a child can be taught to acquire the much needed skill it needs for everyday life, to live a fulfilled life. That's just about it. But it's not a disease, and therefore it cannot be cured. People with autism have intellectual disability and can't speak. This is actually as a result of lack of understanding of what autism really is. Now, it's also true that people with autism can also have intellectual disability, but also people with autism also have even higher IQ than the neurotypical children. And so this very myth is not true. However, it can be said that children with autism sometimes come down with other comorbidities like seizures, like sleep disorder, but notwithstanding, autism is not an intellectual disability. I think we have to make that very clear today. Autism is not an intellectual disability. We have children and people with autism who are very verbal, who can communicate verbally, and who are actually doing very well in the world today. So it's actually not intellectual disability. And then, yeah, I think we just have to make that clear. People with autism do not feel emotion. This is absolutely very unfair, untrue, and I consider this very myth very harmful for those living with autism. Now, just like every other person, autistic, those with autism actually feel emotion. And just like every other person, we all have our different ways we respond to emotions. Those on the spectrum, those with autism, may not be able to interpret emotions as we would expect of them to interpret these emotions. But notwithstanding, they actually feel emotion. They just struggle with interpreting emotion. So you might have a scenario where a child is being given a hug, and then an autistic child would literally want to cry or push you off, or just probably throw tantrum. That's not because, that should not be because he doesn't feel emotion, he doesn't understand what you're doing. He just doesn't interpret it as we would expect of him or her to interpret it. So those on the autism spectrum actually feel emotion, but they just often struggle to interpret them as we would expect them to. And this might be as a result of a lot of things, environment, especially sensory. Sensory issue is a very serious issue when it comes to children, those on the spectrum, those on the autism spectrum. So yes, they actually feel emotion. In fact, most of the children I've worked with actually learned to respond positively to emotion. So yes, they can be taught to respond in a particular way, and then we can also be made to understand how they feel and how they respond to this emotion, so that we can make our environment even safer for them to express themselves. Autism is becoming an epidemic. While this is misleading and untrue, well, I think I would want to say it is understandable because of the obvious rising diagnosis of autism. Over the decade, we've had more persons diagnosed with autism. And then, I think what those behind that myth have failed to identify or state is that over the past few decades, the definition of autism spectrum disorder, and then the awareness has also increased. So this has also given rise to people being diagnosed, and so with more people being diagnosed, we now have more positive diagnosis, where over the years, these people ordinarily would have been coined or tagged as introverts, as socially awkward people, as mentally retarded people, and all of that, because of the awareness and the campaign and the jingles on autism. So we have more people turning up for the diagnosis, and then we have positive diagnosis, yes, and then these people are actually receiving the support they need, and which is what we should actually be supporting. We should have more diagnosis out there. We should have more trained specialists to help those on the autism spectrum, so they can get all the support, all the assistance they need to effectively make impact in their society. Yes, so that should be it. So it's not necessarily becoming a pandemic, but it is becoming acceptable in our society. So we are more aware, and we have more professionals out there now who really can provide help, who really can help with the screening, the evaluation, and then the diagnosis. Yes. Autism is caused by vaccines. This is not true. This was as a result of a particular physician who carried out a test several years ago, and then his experiment was later tagged fake because he didn't follow the standard procedure, and so he was also later stripped off his license. So yes, it has not been proven that it's caused by vaccine. So you may have your own theory and all of that, but currently this is still a myth. It is not a fact, and I don't expect it to be a fact anytime soon. Yes. Autism is a disease. Autism is not a disease. Autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder which manifests itself in communication impairment, impairment in social interaction, and behavior. So it is in no way a disease. So if the word cure shouldn't even come when discussing autism. Autism is a lifelong disorder. It's a neurodevelopmental disorder. Autistic children are more violent. This is not true. This is absolutely not true. Now, some children with autism may be violent, but I don't see anything different or special in having a few violent autistic children. Some other neurotypical children also show a lot of these violent behaviors. And for autistic children, since we already know they have issues with expressing themselves, they have issue coping with emotions. So it's sometimes they resort to communicating in ways you may find inappropriate. If you have a non-verbal child, there's every tendency that the non-verbal child might want to probably hit someone or do something that is inappropriate just to gain your attention or just to express himself, just to tell you, make you understand that he's not happy with the current situation and all of that. And this shouldn't be tagged to just autistic children. The neurological children, the neurotypical children also have these issues dealing with emotions. There are children who still struggle with accepting certain reality, still showing some problem behavior. So this particular myth is not true. We have children with autism that are very calm and they are very responsive, and there are a few who may also have some form of violent behavior, but that does not mean they are more violent than any other child. It's just an issue of ability to cope with the situation. All autistic people have servant skill. Well, while this is somewhat true, the myth about it is that not all autistic people have a servant skill. We have a lot of people with autism who are almost just able to perform certain tasks or all required tasks, while in a few cases we may have children who are exceptionally talented in certain areas, and so the myth about it is not all autistic people who have servant skill. And I think servant skill is actually good. It is the responsibility of parents and the professionals to identify the area the child is predominantly active and competent, and try to work on this area so as to bring out the best in the child, and then to also promote and improve the child's confidence in himself. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you've really learned something new today. And please just take this message out there, and also try to be a voice for people with autism. I look forward to seeing you again next week, where I hope to also bring to you another interesting topic. We shall be learning together here. Also, I'll be expecting to get feedback from all of you. Please let me know what you would like me to talk about. If there are topics, if there are areas you want me to speak on, please kindly just leave it in the comments section, and